G'day guys, today we are looking at the Milwaukee Fuel M12 Jigsaw. This is the M12 FJS Fuel Jigsaw. Easy peasy to remember that. Or if you're in the US, it's the 2545. Now, this is basically a baby barrel grip jigsaw. And first thing you notice, it's nice in the hand. Feels nice and comfortable. I love the fact that I can get my hand all the way around it. One thing I don't like about some barrel grip jigsaws is they're kind of fat and your hand sort of is like that. You're not actually like gripping the tool. Geez, my fingers are looking a bit wrinkly there. Whereas this, you can get all the way around, which is nice. It's nice and compact. It's a little bit long. It's a lot longer than the non-fuel version. I don't have one of those here to show you at the moment. I'll stick one up on the screen here. Eh? As you can see, this one got a far slimmer head on it, much nicer looking tool, and a nicer grip, a longer grip, which is good for your hand. The other one was a little bit short. That first one was very short and had the battery jammed right in there, so it wasn't as comfortable as this one. This is a nicely ergonomic tool. Ergonomic is a word, surely. Before I show you the features, I'm just going to quickly weigh it. With a 2 amp hour battery on board, it comes in at only 1.75 kgs. Pretty good. Basically the same weight as a small impact driver with a battery on it. So I'm happy with the weight for sure. Let's just try it quickly with a 6 amp hour. And if you want to know the other measurements, they'll be down in the bottom corner, but this is metric land, so with a 6 amp coming in just under 2 kgs. Will it stand up like that? Look at that. Awesome. Then again, will it stand up with just the 2? Woohoo! Now, if you are a regular of the channel, you will possibly be aware that I'm not a great fan of barrel grips. I prefer D handles. If you don't know the difference, this is a barrel grip and a D handle has the handle on top and you hold it like this with a trigger, whereas this, you have a trigger on the side. Let's just give her a quick whack. That's on the A mode. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. So you turn the whole thing on and you use it and you can move your hand around on it. It's permanently on. Whereas with the D handle you have trigger finger control, so you can speed it up, slow it down as you wish, which I kind of like. But this one feels sort of like a nice compromise between the two, and seen as Milwaukee sent it to me for free along with some blades, it would be rude of me not to have a quick look at it, eh? So let me show you all the features that it has. It of course has an on-off switch, which, as I say, permanently on or permanently off. It's not a trigger. It has a 22mm stroke. That's how much the blade goes up and down per RPM. How many RPMs does it have? Well, it has between 800 and 3000 depending on what setting you have it on up the top here, because this is a variable speed tool, so you can just flick that to whatever you want as you're using it. So 5 being the top, 3000, and 1 being 800, but we also have an A. We'll get to the A later on. Now we have orbital modes on this thing too, so you have it whacked up on 0, you're basically just cutting straight up and down, your blades going like this. But then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 orbital functions. What do I mean by orbital? Well, instead of your blade going like this, it starts going like this. That helps cut your material much quicker. The downside of that though is it's nowhere near as clean of a cut as if you just did it as a straight cut without the orbital. This will give you the nicest finish, but it will be a lot slower. So between this and this, you can pick whatever is the right speed and the right orbitalization for your particular material and the particular cut that you're doing. It has a light on the front, which can be turned off and on with the button on the front of the tool, so that's nice. And on this side, we've got a blower. Blower on, blower off. It helps keep all the dust clear from your cut line. Looking at the bottom of the tool here, I'm just going to whip the battery off. Looking at the bottom of the tool, we've got a splinter guard in there that comes out. It's a nice thick chunky splinter guard. Look how thick that is. It's a lot thicker than a lot of them. It's got a little marker in the middle there too, so you can follow your cut line. We've also got a guard to go over this area in the front here, which I haven't put on yet. Which way around is that going? Like that. So that'll clip on there. I'm not going to clip it on because I'm not going to use that probably. I never use those things because I want to be able to see where I'm cutting perfectly. and it's a jigsaw, it's not like it's that dangerous, let's face it. This lever here opens up where you put in your blade, which is a little bit tricky to see in there. Pull out the splinter guard, see if we can get a look in there. Still awfully difficult to see, especially when everything's black in there. But there's where your blade goes in. You'll see it turn there. We'll show you more of that when I stick a blade in it. Speaking of blades, we have a nice feature here in the base, the removable protective base here. We take this off and, oh, one's fallen out. We have area in the base to store blades. They sort of slot in the side, so you can have a couple of spare blades always with you, so that you'll always be ready to go with your blades and not have to worry about going off to find one, because you've always got a spare one on you. Staying looking at the base, we have built-in tool storage, Allen key on the back here to get in there and adjust your base. Bloody hell, she's tight. Whew, she's tight as. So on the base here, we've got some pretty clear markings, 0, 15, 30 and 45 degrees in either direction, so you can slot it in whichever one you want. It's got a sort of detent in each one, and then lock it back in place with the Allen key. There's not a lot of back and forward movement in the base as there is with some jigsaws. Okay, what else do I need to tell you? Oh, it also comes with a dust port, big long dust port here. See this groove in the back? Just slot that in there like so. Shove it in there. It does stick out an awful long way. Could be a little bit cumbersome, but might also help keep the hose from getting too close to the edge of your workpiece, which might be nice. Time will tell. I will hook it up to a vac shortly and we will see how that works. We'll see what the A mode does on the dial here. Yeah, enough talking I think, eh? Let's go put it to the test. Right, for these first cuts we're going to be on the top speed, and I'm going to go through all of these settings so you can see the orbital functions. 0. Fairly smooth. Right, orbital setting 1. Orbital setting 2. Setting 3. And setting 4. So setting 3 and 4, pretty rough on the cut on this side. I can feel it's much smoother though on the other side. There wasn't a huge amount of difference though. It didn't start jumping up and down like some jigsaws do when you get a bit fast and a bit too orbital. It's a pretty smooth tool to use. Now we're going to stick it on A. Okay, let's check out what A means. Presumably it means auto. I've got this set up a little bit strange for the camera. I'm going to have to do it left-handed. But this sort of jigsaw, you can do it left-handed because, well, you know, not that hard to just do that. Okay, did you notice what it did? It didn't go back off again, but it started off slow. Let's try it again. See, that was a nice gentle start and then it took off. But it stays going fast. It doesn't change once you take the pressure back off. That was actually the nicest auto start I've felt on a jigsaw, that's for sure. Because, yeah, I particularly don't like some of them. But that, I could actually use that. that auto is very good. It's such a light, easy, maneuverable tool. And there hasn't been any jumping yet. Well, we'll try some different timber later on. But now I will just test out the different speeds. So we'll go from fastest to slowest, starting at number 5, which you've already seen. We'll do it on straight cut, 0. We'll do it left-handed. So that's fairly moderate pressure I was putting on that. Down to number 4. When I tried to push that a bit faster, it did get a little bit jumpy on it. Oops, wrong one. Number 3. Wow. This is going to be pretty slow. Number 2. Wow. That was slow, and we haven't even got to number 1 yet. So here we go. Number 1 on the dial. You might want to fast forward this bit. Well, that was one of the slowest cuts I've ever made with a jigsaw. Personally, I can't see myself really using this on anything below 5, maybe 4. This is back on number 5, and I'm gonna we'll do a test without the blower on and then with the blower. Well, the blower worked, but I wasn't getting that much of a sawdust build-up even without it cutting through this 10mm chipboard here. We'll go try cutting something else, eh? This thing being rated for up to 70mm through wood, 3mm through steel, and 3mm through alley. Got some 19mm pine flooring here. Got it set on 0, straight cut, highest speed. Let's go. Whoa, rough as guts. Now we'll bung it on Orbital mode 4. You saw how much quicker that was on the Orbital mode 4, but it's also pretty chippy there, although she was pretty chippy on just the straight cut. I'll go a bit slower so we can do that a bit nicer. Still very chippy, but nowhere near as bad. Haven't got the chip guard in it at the moment. And of course the different blades you put in there, this is not a fine tooth blade. Finer the teeth on the blade, the nicer the cut you will get. So I'm interested now on just seeing how good it would go at a deeper depth. How good is it going to be through framing timber, which is 45mm here. Let's try that. All the cuts you've seen so far, all done on the same battery, still showing 4 bars. Right, this piece of timber is just under 45 this way and just under 70 this way. This is maximum stuff for this jigsaw. Can it cope? We'll have it on full orbital mode, highest speed. Wow, did that no problem at all. So this is the maximum depth of cut. Are we actually going to be able to use this blade? Yes, we will. You've always got to have your blade coming out the bottom when you're using a jigsaw, else you'll start. The blade, if it doesn't come through the bottom, will hit the bottom of the timber and fire your jigsaw up at you, bend your blade usually, stuff things right up. So, can it do 70 millimeters like they state? No worries, didn't like it when I did that second curved cut there, but that's pretty good. So that was on the full orbital mode, bouncing around a bit. Let's try it straight cut. As you can see, much nicer cut, beautiful cut on that surface there, that's nice. Even the back where we came out, it's not too bad, but very slow when you've got it on that zero or straight mode. So the main difference a lot of guys like D handles over barrel grip and vice versa is the way that you use them. With a D grip, you basically have to use it on top of the material, just like you saw me do with this, and that's fine. But a lot of guys like going from underneath. So if you want to reach around and go from underneath, then you want a barrel grip, because you can just leave it turned on. You can put your hand in whatever position is comfortable and go like that. Now, why would you cut from underneath though? Well, if you've got your blade coming up through your workpiece like this, you can see your cut line easily. So you can just follow your cut line with the blade directly on it. When you're up this way, you've got a lot of other shit you've got to look around, and it can be a bit hard sometimes to see your line. Whereas up this way, there's nothing else in the way. All you've got is your line and a blade. So that's why a lot of people like it. But a lot of barrel grips are very heavy. When you're cutting like this, the material is supporting all the weight of your tool. You don't have to have much pressure on the tool with your hand because everything's been held by the timber. You can just have a little gentle cut. Whereas underneath, you've got to make sure you don't drop this thing. If this is the surface area of your piece of material you're cutting, you can't have it drop like this and be banging around. You have to have it hard up against that. And so the lighter this is, the better in a way, because all this weight's pulling down, remember, with gravity. So if this was another kg or two, it's pulling down, getting very heavy, whereas this nice 12 volt weight could be quite handy. So let's go do some cutting from the flip side. You didn't follow that line too straight, Tools. Let's turn down the vibration on that. So light and easy for doing it underneath. Right, who wants to see a plunge cut? Too easy. Plunge cut into a piece of pine. No bother at all. Next up, let's try cutting some metal. I have removed the base. I've done this just to protect this shoe cover here, just because I want this for timber and nice stuff. And metal can be a bit scratchy and shit, right? Especially if it's a bit rusty and stuff like that, and the filings get caught. So I've removed it. As you can see, I've already cut some steel and stuff with it. There's a couple of little lips here, like where this base is screwed in. This bit's actually plastic, and it sticks below the edge of the aluminium base there. So you just got to be careful it doesn't catch when you first go to start your cut. it is further forward than the blade, so as long as you plonk it down in the right place, it's not too big of a problem. But if you catch and then sort of think, why is it catching, and push forward, you might hit the blade and damage the start of your cut. So just be aware of that. I might actually just sand those off a tiny little bit. Anyway, let's go cut some alley and then we'll try some steel. What we have here is a failure to communicate. What we have here is some 3mm angled alley. So 3mm thick, which is the top, according to Milwaukee, that this thing is rated for. So we'll see how it goes. Now, earlier in the video, I think I said that I don't like the low speeds, probably wouldn't use the low speeds, only going to use 5 and 4 basically. Now that was for timber. When it comes to metal, you want the lower speeds. So we're going to go number 1, and we're going to have no orbital function. We're just going to slowly cruise. Might have to bump it up to speed 2, we'll see how we go. Nice and quiet. Right, so while that's cutting alright, it's a little slow. Let's crank it up to speed 2. So I was happy at speed 2. It's a little bit slow, but you want to take it easy with aluminium. It can sort of clog up the teeth on your blades and shit. But let's, just for fun, let's take it up to 5. Well, let's put on auto actually, which will start off slow and then ramp up. No worries. What about 2.5mm Corten steel? Let's give that a whirly. Going back down to speed 2. Try speed 3. At the end there, tried to give it a bit of a turn, but this blade's a bit thick for that. But yeah, cut that no problem. Speed 3, perfect. Now of course when using a jigsaw you make a bit of dust, as you do with any woodworking tool. So how does it go with the dust extraction? So for the dust extraction we of course need to put on the dust port. Let me just zoom out a bit here. That's better, right. So this just shoves in the back like so, and makes you realize why it's so long now, because it needs to get past a big battery on the back such as the 6 amp hour there. Now I'll go and hook this up to the Milwaukee M18x2 vac, see if it sucks up the dust, eh? I think for this we'll only need the vac on setting 1, and we won't want that on blow, will we? Because we don't want to blow it away, we want to suck it up. I have put on the guard here, if that's what we want to call it, a guard. It's a little bit scary putting it on, a little bit flimsy, a little bit like just worried it's gonna break as you put it on. Don't know how long that thing would last. Anyway, let's go cut something else. So it sucked up most of it, but there was quite a few biggish chunks that sort of jumped ahead from the blade as it was cutting, that jumped ahead of the vac, so it couldn't quite get it. But there was certainly a lot less of the fine dust, like that stuff. So it works, but didn't catch everything. No dust extraction ever does. But that's pretty good. Yeah, there's no fine dust. It's all just big chunky stuff. vacuum was actually doing quite a lot. Okay, so it's been a few weeks, and what have I learned about this thing? Well, it's a good little jigsaw. I like it. It's nice and small and compact and light and just feels good in the hand. And it's just easy and maneuverable. Not so maneuverable when you've got the big stinking dust extractor on the end, especially if you've got the big hose like I was using. Then, you know, it's pretty long, and when you turn, you're sticking out a long way. So far, you couldn't even see my hand then, could you? So, yeah, with the dust extraction, she's pretty big. The dust extraction, though, does work well. So if you want to use it, that's good. It does the job fine. What else do I need to tell you? This here, the way that the blades go in and out. I'll show you how it comes out. That's how she comes out. She fires herself out. But to put it in, this has been the hardest thing for me to get used to, because I'm used to just shoving them straight in, but you can't do that with this because it's facing that way. So you have to flick the lever right over, which is hard to do when you're trying to hold it on camera here, and then slide it in. Make sure you push it all the way in. If you let it go without letting go of the black thing, that's what happens. Got that little spring in there, which will fire it out. So shove it in, hold the blade tight, let go of the black lever, and you're in. And then flick the black lever and out she pops. So you just got to remember to flick that lever over each time. It's not a biggie, but you know, it was annoying to get used to when you're used to just shoving them straight in and not touching the lever. But that's about it really. Like, apart from that, this thing, when it's in focus, is a very nice little tool. And another great addition to the M12 lineup, which leads me to a bit of a question here. M12 versus M18, what do you reckon? Like, what is your favorite? Which platform do you prefer, M12 or M18? I tend to go M12 because I just find the tools are a bit more interesting in a lot of ways these days. They seem to put out things on M12 that they don't do on M18. I mean, they do a lot of M18 tools, of course, that they don't do M12. But there's some that you think, like this for instance, why is there no M18 nibbler, but there's an M12 nibbler? I mean, you don't really need an M18 nibbler power-wise because this thing is a brilliant little tool. It's got variable speed, and this turns in different angles, which is cool. You can just flick that 90 degrees and stuff like that. I've stuck it back to where it's meant to be. And a little sack on the end. Great little tool, nice, light, compact little nibbler. The rivet tool, of course, the first, they've got an M18 now, but the M12 was first. And the planer, which is better than the M18 planer. So, what do you prefer, M12 or M18? Just as, you know, just as a little side question there. Anyway, this thing, cheers Milwaukee for hooking me up. This is another, it'll be a favorite little tool. I have no issues with it thus far. Oh, I don't like this thing. I know I'm gonna stuff that. Anyway, I'm surprised it was even on it. Now that it's off, it probably will never go back on. Anyway, let me know any other Milwaukee tools you wanna see down there, and tell me M12 or M18. Thanks to my Patreons as usual. If you want to be one of them, have a look down in the description. Otherwise, I will see you on another video probably about this time next week. And there'll also be some up on my other channel, which is up in the top corner here, builds and stuff. Trying to put out one of them every week as well. They'll go up within 24 hours of this one going up on tools and stuff. So, thanks for watching. See you next time. Out of here.